Hello and welcome. I'm Sissy and I'm Timothy's widow. Before we get into today's video topic, I just want to ask you, are you staying hydrated? Because even at this late time of the night, no sunshine, it's dark out, it's 100 degrees here. I think it probably easily reached 110. I'm not sure, I didn't bother to check it, but it is ungoshly hot. So I do hope you're staying hydrated, drinking water, staying out of the direct sunlight as much as possible. Okay, so let's get to today's topic. And this is a question that has been coming to my mind a lot lately, and I think it's time to reflect on it. Is it time to move on? Now, I'm nearing almost the end of the second year of my grief journey. And I will definitely say that it has not been easy. I think the second year was a lot harder in a lot of different ways. But some things have happened to me lately that have me wondering if it's time to move on. And I'm not sure if I like the term moving on. I think I might prefer the next chapter. I've seen that one used a lot. But whatever terminology you feel resonates with you, go ahead and think of it in that way. But yeah, I've had some things happen, and I've also misplaced a couple items that one for sure I know is here, even though it traveled back home to my parents. I know the item is here somewhere, but I have no clue where. The other one is I either misplaced or lost my crystal necklace. So I'm not sure where it's at yet. I haven't stumbled across it. But it's really been weighing on my mind, the things that I have neglected, some of the things that I know need changed. So yeah, that's kind of my mindset right now. So go ahead and get a cup of coffee, sit down, get comfortable, and you can join me as I reflect on this question and I do some research, and maybe together we can shed some light on reaching the intersection of grief, healing, and the potential for renewal and moving on or starting the next chapter, whichever term you prefer. So I've been doing a little bit of research, trying to figure out, is this like a normal part of the grief process to question if it's time to move on. And I did find some interesting things. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. The first one is reaching milestones. So we all know that there are significant milestones or anniversaries that occur, such as the anniversary of our loved one's passing, our wedding anniversaries, other things such as that, first holidays without them. And I would say you probably wouldn't, on the first one of these milestones, you probably wouldn't necessarily be thinking about starting a new chapter. But by the time the second one comes around, or maybe has passed already, you might start to reflect on whether you should be starting a new chapter. So as I said, it's almost 2 full years for me. And I have a birthday coming up, our wedding anniversary's coming up, and then right after that, the anniversary of his passing. So that's all coming up. Then, get through that a little bit, and then it's another Thanksgiving and another Christmas, and then it's the start of a new year. So coupled with the clutter and everything that has been going on with my life, I think that might be why I'm reflecting on whether it's time to start a new chapter or not. The second one is, what's the state of your emotional healing? Are you noticing a gradual decrease in the intensity of your grief? Are you experiencing more moments of peace and acceptance? Are you beginning to wonder if it's a sign that you're ready to move forward? The next thing to consider would be your social connections. Are you beginning to feel open to forming new social connections, friendships, or maybe even you've been lucky enough to begin the possibility of a new romantic relationship? Any of those things that might be occurring in your life might be a signal that you possibly could be emotionally ready to embrace a new phase of life. I recently talked to somebody the other day, and they knew me and my husband pretty well. They knew my husband before they knew me. And she brought up the possibility of going to yoga class with her. Now, mind you, I've hardly wanted to set foot outside of my home for the longest time. I mean, I don't want to be going anywhere, I don't feel like, or I hadn't felt like I was really, wanting to be out in public very much. But it actually, when she mentioned it, it was like I kind of sparked my interest. I was like, wow, that sounds like fun. I haven't really, really done any kind of heavy activity or anything like that. And that just sounded to me, it sparked my interest, which I know that wouldn't have happened a couple of months ago. So that got me to wondering about that. I know I need to form new social connections. There was one thing that I researched that I thought would be interesting, but each event that they have costs a registration fee, and I just don't want to be putting that into my finances right now. But I did bookmark the information and saved it because it is a possibility on down the road once I get more things in place. So, that definitely is like a sign of, starting a new chapter. So if any of those kind of things are happening to you, you know, that it might be a sign that you may not be completely ready to start a new chapter or to move on, but it could be a sign that you're at the end of one chapter and you're ready to transition into another one. Of course, it's going to take a lot of self-reflection, and you've really got to think about, where you're at. But, this is something that if it's coming to mind more often, you might want to give it a little bit more thought. The next one is, are you rediscovering your interests? So if you've started to engage in activities or hobbies that you once enjoyed, but you had put aside initially during the grieving period, that could be a sign that you're ready to begin moving on. Or you may not have started engaging in your activities or hobbies yet, but you've been thinking about it more and more. So that could be another sign that we're ready to move on. And I think rediscovering those interests is a really good thing, or finding new ones. It's a really good thing for us because in the end, we kind of have to be selfish and consider ourselves at this time. We have to put our best interests in mind, and we have to decide how we can continue going in a much more positive manner. So yeah, if you're rediscovering your interests, that could definitely be a sign that you are ready to go to the next step. The next thing that you want to consider would be your personal growth. Have you experienced and noticed personal growth and transformation as a result of your grief journey? If your personal growth and the transformation has been mostly for the positive, it could be time to question if it's the right time to start channeling that growth into new opportunities and experiences. And I don't think we should be sad about moving from the darker days of grief and moving into the light. I don't think we should be sad about that. I don't think our loved ones would want us to be stagnant. It's not good for us to be dormant for long periods of time. Yes, we do need to take the time to heal and heal properly, but I don't know. I think we need to consider ourselves like little flowers, little buds. We went dormant during the winter time, and now we need to think if this is our time for spring to start emerging from the dark and letting the full bloom of our potential and whatever experiences are going to come our way. I think we need to kind of look at it in that respect that, it's okay. It's okay for us to go from these little seedlings that are, barely visible in the flower pot, so to speak. I think it's perfectly fine for us to grow and blossom into the beautiful flower that we're meant to be. Like, I know I love hydrangeas, I love hibiscus, I love gardenias. So, we can kind of imagine ourselves as whatever our favorite flower is. It's time for us to show our colors and our beauty again. So the next thing we want to take a look at is your support systems, your interactions and your connections with those people, friends, family, coworkers, therapists, counselors, whoever. What are your interactions and conversations like? Are you noticing that they're shifting from solely being focused on your grief and the grief journey? Are they starting to become conversations more about life and future plans? Is so-and-so talking about their kids and you find yourself sharing an experience because it might be valuable for their child? General types of things that you used to talk about before we lost our loved ones. If you're finding yourself either thinking of things like wanting to take part in a conversation, but you quite can't, you're just not quite there yet. Or maybe you are. Maybe you are now engaging in conversations about all kinds of topics besides grief. If that is starting to happen more regularly for you, then that could be a good sign that you're ready to begin easing into the next chapter. Another indication that you might be ready or about to ease into the next chapter would be your dreams, your goals, your aspirations. Are you finding yourself dreaming about the future, making plans or setting goals that are extending further out beyond the scope of your grief? Not like plans like tomorrow or next week, maybe like next month or the following month, even towards closer to the end of the year. Are you maybe starting to make holiday plans or even vacation plans for next year? Or are you thinking about things like that? Any long range future thinking that you're doing, if you're doing it pretty easily, and I don't want to say like you're doing it maybe very happily, without feeling sad, because you probably still would be feeling sad. But if you're finding it just easier to think more long range, that could be an indication that you're ready to move on, or you should definitely be considering it. Another indication would be, have you started creating new routines, daily habits that don't necessarily revolve around the memory of your spouse? They focus more on you. They focus more on you and your children, if you have any. You and your work, you and any social activities. If there's any kind of new routines that you've fallen into pretty regularly, that could be a good indication that you're transitioning to the next phase of your chapter and whatever your story is going to continue to be. Another sign that you might be ready to move into the next chapter would be, how are you handling the reflection of memories? As we move along in the grief journey, we will find ourselves reflecting on memories of our loved ones, and there will come a time when they're filled with less pain, less sadness. They're not going to leave us an emotional wreck every time that we think of them or something triggers a memory. We're going to be able to handle that trigger easier than we used to. A lot of times those memories might make us smile. We might even laugh. I know there was something that I was thinking about the other day, just noise-related little things that hubby would do, and I found myself laughing over it because it was uniquely him. And yes, I miss it, but I also remember the funniness of it. So I think if you're doing things like that more and more often, that could definitely be a sign that you're having a possible positive shift in your emotional state, and that you might be getting closer to transitioning and moving forward. And the next one is, what is your inner dialogue like? If you've noticed a change in your internal dialogue, and you're not having the constant thoughts of loss and grief, and you're having more thoughts of hope and growth, you're open to new possibilities, or you're considering, what if I did this, or what if I did that? If you're having those kind of thoughts, that could be an indication that you're at least contemplating moving forward. Now, I know that it's going to take a lot more than just me putting together this short little brief video and you looking at it and you knowing that it's time to move on. For me, I know that it's going to take a little bit more time. I might not reach a point where I have said that I have moved on. Who knows? Maybe by the end of the year, maybe early next year. I guess we just never know, because the grief journey is complicated and it is challenging. There are a couple things that we need to remember about ourselves, though. As we stand on the threshold of possibly entering a new chapter, we need to remember that our strength and our resilience have been nothing short of awe-inspiring. Let's face it, navigating the grief journey is not for wimps. Our journey through grief has been marked by courage, vulnerability, and an unwavering spirit that has refused to be broken by the weight of the loss. I sometimes find myself thinking of that stupid fluffy pink battery rabbit. You know, the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going and going and going. And I keep thinking of him a lot of the time. And it's sort of like he's become my little, what would you call it? A symbol of hope. You know, when I'm feeling down, I just kind of try to think of them little bunny commercials and him just going and going. Because that's me. My husband used to lovingly call me a stubborn biatch because that was just kind of my personality. Like, I was just going to keep going no matter what, and I was stubborn and I wasn't giving up. And yeah, it has been rough. The last couple weeks there have been a lot of rough moments. But I'm going to be like that darn little pink fluffy bunny. Every step that we've taken, every tear that we've shed, every moment of reflection that we've embraced, all of that has helped shape us into an incredible person. Our ability to find light in the darkness and hope within sorrow is a testament to the depth of our character. We need to remember that we're a heck of a lot stronger than we think we are, even though that's kind of a cliche type of thing that we hear a lot. But in reality, we really are strong. We really are. As we begin to think about moving on, we need to remember that does not mean that we're forgetting or leaving behind the love that we shared with our spouse. Transitioning to a new chapter is a testament to the enduring power of love that transcends the boundaries of time and space. We will always carry their memory with us, and their legacy lives on through the strength that we've found within. As we embark on this new chapter, remember, it's okay to feel a mix of emotions: excitement, trepidation, hope, and yes, even a touch of nostalgia. We can embrace these feelings, for they are a reflection of our humanity and the depths of our hearts. The journey ahead holds promise, potential, and the opportunity to rediscover the beauty of life. Just as a tree grows stronger after surviving a storm, we have also weathered the storms of grief. I guess you could say we have weathered one hell of a hurricane. We're like those little flower buds. We're ready to blossom and to flourish anew. Now, I know this brief little video has just barely scratched the surface of the question of, is it time to move on? I think that question and coming to that determination is probably complex and challenging, just like the grief journey, and it would definitely require a much longer video, more research to cover it more fully. But I thought it might be a good presentation to present in case you've started questioning or having inner dialogues with yourself. That it might help you understand where you're at a little bit better. But I want you to know that you are surrounded by a community, this channel, and that I care deeply for you, and I wish nothing but happiness and fulfillment for your future. Remember, our story is an inspiration. For each one of us, it's a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the human spirit has the capacity to heal, transform, and find joy once more. May our next chapter be filled with unexpected moments of joy, new connections, and the realization of dreams that we may have thought were once out of reach. Remember that our journey is a beacon of hope to every other grieving spouse out there. Our journey should remind ourselves and them that even after the darkest night, the sun will rise again. As always, I want to thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you found this content helpful, please like and share, and consider subscribing to the channel so that you'll know when new content is available. By doing so, you'll be helping me to grow the channel and this community. As always, please feel free to comment on any of my videos. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if there are any topics or concerns that you'd like to see covered in the future. I would be honored to do that for you. Don't forget, I have several polls under the community tab. I would greatly appreciate it if you'd help my channel out by interacting with them. I've been Sissy, with heartfelt wishes for your future brimming with love, laughter, and the fulfillment of your deepest aspirations. And as always, with much hope, light, and love. Until the next time, my friend, take care